All right. So let's continue with what I have been working on. My name's Justin. This is AI for the Masses. And in this, I show you my workflow on how to vibe code an indie game. My indie game is going to be a JRPG, kind of 1990s style. And it's going to be, to say it in a nutshell, procedurally generated everything. So I'm working on my procedurally generated town. And we can see here the status of the town as we have it so far. There are a bunch of different buildings, like this is supposed to be a tavern. I can enter. I'll be putting a skin on top of these assets as we move along, and I have little NPCs walking around that I can say hi to. Down here is an inn, like a little bed and breakfast type inn, and there's residences, there's shops, some basic buildings. I'll worry about adding more variety and things as the game gets more fleshed out, but just creating the scaffolding for me to add things to. So there's a few goals that I have today. I should probably write them down and make sure that I get them all. So I am thinking about, I want to reduce the gap between the buildings. You can see, like, I have to go very far to find another building, and I don't really like that. If I had more interesting things happening in the town, then that wouldn't be an issue. But I want to be able to debug. I want to be able to see the buildings. And I know somewhere in my code there's a way for me to reduce the gaps between the buildings. So I'm going to investigate that. I'm going to add the asset art to the village that I have in the sandbox. And then I'm going to finish, this may or may not actually happen, finish the assets that I haven't made that aren't in the village. So I'll show you where I've gotten. I'm actually kind of glad that the main game doesn't have the assets, so that way you can see how things were and what I have accomplished off stream. So I did quite a bit of work today. I didn't stream the work because I knew it was going to be a little bit rocky of a process, and I needed to kind of focus on like the problem solving aspects of that process. So I decided to keep things keep things offline and just kind of focus. But now I am ready to try and bring all of this stuff together. And the way I would like to do that is, let me show you what the building looks like in my building generator sandbox. So this is a different section of the code where I can test out the buildings, and it has some of the art that I've made. Oh, and I also have an update over here in Gemini on the left with for the fireplace. So these are the same buildings here, and they are a small residence, a small bed and breakfast inn, a shop, and a tavern. And so I have floor tiles, wall tiles, I have a table, a door, I have beds, and I have a fireplace. So the things that I haven't done yet are the countertop and the bar stools. If I go larger, so this is the medium size version of all those buildings. And then I have a fireplace that's 2 tiles wide that Gemini has the code that I need to update that. And then if I go to the large size, I've got a double bed, and I have a mix of twin beds and double beds in this inn, and then and I need to do the stage. All right, so I think I'll save the asset art for a little later in here. I think I want to reduce the gaps, and I want to bring what's already been built over to the main game. So I think I need to bring, it's interesting. I think I need to bring the assets over, but I'm going to try and make it where I can keep all the assets in the building generator sandbox directory and not have to have a second asset directory or a second pool of assets. So yeah, we're going to see if we can get Gemini to successfully do that I can procedurally generate all these different versions of things here. Okay, so the fireplace. We got the double fireplace. Let's get that fireplace to be not a duplicate of the small fireplace. So I already talked to Gemini over here earlier. Here's one I prepared earlier, if you know about cooking show jokes like that. And let's see. So excellent. This is an opportunity to improve the visual variety and make the distinction between building sizes more meaningful using a dedicated large fireplace as Saul set for it. Always so complimentary. I will implement the necessary changes. Okay, so let's cut to the chase. Building cell. Where is building cell? Building cell is in it's just in the main. No, that's building grid. There it is. Building cell. All right. So they added, you can kind of look at the code, they added a large fireplace, and then I think they probably had to make a large fireplace. Okay, so dark red, and then small fireplace is crimson red, and large fireplace is dark red. That's cool how the AI kind of picks and labels colors. All right, so is that, yep, that's a very small file, so. Oh, hold on. Okay. So let's paste that in. I kind of lost position of my fingers on the keyboard there for a second. Had to readjust myself. So next is residence generator. Okay, that makes sense to me. I'm not surprised about that. And oh, it's a big file, but it's not that big. All right, I'm scrolling back up. Looks like it gave me the entire file. Yeah, and then sandbox renderer. Okay. So I've been kind of living in these handful of files here for a while, working on my assets. I think this should be the last file, so I can scroll to the bottom. Yep. Okay. So let's give it a shot. Let's see if the fireplace. Oh, we got some errors. Oh, I didn't even look. Oh, really? Where are these errors? Wait, did I save everything? I didn't save building cell. That's why. Okay, there's a fireplace. I'm going to go to the medium size. Double fireplace, but the fireplace is upside down. Okay, so I don't try not to be lazy because I want, no matter what art I put in, I want to be able to make different versions of fireplaces or have procedurally generated fireplace art. And I don't like it that it's upside down. So let's do this the right way. But first I'm going to double check that my fireplace asset actually was created properly. Oops, I'm in the wrong subdirectory. Here we go. I'm doing this off screen. I can bring my folder over here in a second. Let me just get to the directory first. Okay, so like here's my asset art, and my small fireplace kind of ended up upside down in the game, and I allowed myself to be lazy and just flipped the art. I'm not going to leave it like that because then that means every single time I make a fireplace I have to flip the PNG upside down. So oops, that's the wrong one. I want to grab this. All right. So now that you see that is a thing, let's look at the code and see if we can figure out. Probably I'm going to go to the sandbox renderer, and I'm going to find, let's see, there is a list of all the items that get put into draw all objects on top of the base layer. Okay, so door, wall, bed, full bed, fireplace. So I think I can rotate. Let's see. You got sell that rotation. I need to figure out how this works. Is there a way for me to add an argument to this? So I'm just going to, I want to learn a little bit about how this works. So I'm going to, instead of just asking Gemini to fix, this is a nice opportunity for me to review some code. My fireplace is being rendered upside down, or in other words, it's rotated 180 degrees from what I want. In the following code, how do I rotate the asset? And then I'm just going to paste the code in because I believe, based on the fact that there is a rotation function there, that there should be a way. Maybe I can add an argument. I am not a C# expert by any means, and this game is the first time I've ever tried using C#. Much more knowledgeable about C and Python. So, that being said, these are opportunities for me to get exposure to the C# syntax and things like that. Okay, spot this should be perfectly. The problem is that the fireplace asset naturally faces down with the opening at the bottom, but the rotation logic generator was written as the asset naturally faces up. But don't do it for me. Teach me how. It's just making the entire... Oh, wait, here we go. Place fireplace. Okay, this is in residence generator. Okay, so I didn't even give it the right piece of code. So what is it that it would like me to change? Hold on, I'm getting rid of a distraction on the side over here. Okay. Float rotation. All right, so if door is less than, okay, fireplace. Okay, if it's on the west wall. Okay, I see what it's trying to do here. Is it just giving me the whole file? Fine. I was hoping to learn a little bit, but I think I got it. I think I see where it's doing the rotation. So before I paste, again, with the idea of trying to learn a little bit and keep an idea what's going on with my code. So it looks like here we got west wall 90 degrees, east wall 270. Okay. And if it's on the north wall, does it have a north wall? So north wall shouldn't be rotating. Yeah, it's rotating 180. So let me go ahead. This is around line 60. So I'm going to go ahead and paste, and then we'll scroll up to around line 60 and see if north wall is now 0. Yeah, so it just rearranged all the rotations. That was an easy, like, you know, makes sense. That fix absolutely makes sense. Okay, so now the fireplace is upside down because I had flipped the asset. So now if I go into the asset and just open up the PNG in a viewer, nothing crazy, and just rotate and then close, now the asset will be flipped in my directory. And now let's rerun the game. And there you go. Now let's check. Let's get the fireplace to be... Now the fireplace is only ever on the east or west wall in this particular like generation, but I'm glad that the code is taking the time to be like, well, but if it's ever on the north or south wall, then this is how you would arrange it. So, okay, there we go. Now, oh, and it happened to fix it for the large fireplace at the same time. So there we are. So there's a fireplace. Oh, fireplaces are always on the north wall in my large version. Okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, it's always on the east and west wall. Nice. Okay. I am super happy with that. Now I'm going to make more furniture and other decorations. But that's later. That's when we're starting to get to the fun, the style of the game. I'm still trying to get the mechanics of the game figured out first. All right. Let's move on. That was easy. That was a lot easier than I feared it could have gone. But I said I was gonna try and reduce the gaps between the buildings. So now we gotta go back to the main game. Yeah. So let's go back into the main directory of the game. Let's run the game one more time. And I think I need to give Gemini the full game file. I don't think it's ever seen this instance of the chat. I don't think has ever seen my full game code base. So if we go in here, yeah, I want the buildings to be closer together. So I need to give Gemini the entire code base. And I think I'm just going to do a whole new chat for that. So this is how I do an entire fresh chat off of my code base here. Is I have a file consolidator, so I need to go to one directory up. It's a much busier code base. And then I need to do my consolidating program, which is already on the screen. So this is going to take every single file in the main directory and all the subdirectories, and it's going to make one text file. There it goes. So every single one of my C# files and JSON files and project files are in one text file that I can grab as soon as it finishes loading. And I think it's just my operating system is slow. So this file here has my entire code base just as text, and it has a little instruction of what this file's purpose is. In fact, you can see the file here. So this file contains the consolidated content of selected files from the project, and it gives the file tree, shows all the directories, the whole architecture of every single directory and file, and then it starts. It just says, like, here is the building cell.cs, and it gives the code. And it doesn't do it in any, it does it in alphabetical order, basically. But the AI doesn't matter. The AI gets it. So it just goes through every single file, and it's big. It's big. In fact, how many lines? This gives me an opportunity to kind of see roughly how many lines of code I've been working with so far. So I'm about 11,000 lines deep on this. It feels pretty good to me. I'm proud of that. I mean, it's including white space and brackets and things like that. But so maybe 9,000 in reality, or 8,000 in reality. So cool. That's just, it doesn't matter how long the code is. What matters is the game fun. But I feel proud that this is coming together and becoming something real. So I also give the AI some best coding practices rules, just so it has a little bit more predictable behavior. And then what are we going to do? I need to know where in the code I control the space between the buildings when generating the town. Because I do remember that it was explaining some code to me, and I was kind of trying to figure out how things worked, and it did say that there was a setting for the gaps in the between the buildings. Oh, I forgot to turn the temperature to 0. Not a big deal because I'm asking a question, but I like to have the temperature at 0 for coding, because coding is more logic than creativity. I feel that the creativity is in the ideas and the requests that I give the AI. I do not want the AI to get creative with the coding. I want it to be very basic and stochastic about the coding. So for this particular task, I have found that I get a lot less surprises, a lot fewer surprises when I turn the temperature to 0. Okay, what do we got here? So it is pointing me towards townlayoutgenerator.cs. Good label. Seems to make sense that that's where this would be. And larger grid to hold interiors. Okay, so it increased the size of my grid, so that way we could have bigger buildings from a previous version of the core game. And then building padding right here. This is the line you're looking for. It defines the minimum number of empty tiles to leave around each building. Increase this value result in more space between buildings. Really, it's only 3 and they're that far apart from each other? That is nuts. I mean, if it's only 3, then I want to bring it down to 1. Okay. I'm surprised that number is so small. Okay, so where is town layout generator in my code base? Let's see, services. So there it is, town layout generator. And then I can just padding. Yeah, well, I'm bringing that down to 1. I still think that it's not going to help that much if the padding was only 3 and the buildings were that spread out. Maybe I need to reduce the town grid width and height to just kind of wrangle everything in a little bit more. That's probably what I need to do. There's just too much leeway. Like, this thing is just massive. I should also add some debug statements for the beginning to see how if it ever fails to place a building. Okay, so I'm gonna reduce this by like half. 60 and 45. Maybe I'll just do. Should I just do a square? Maybe I'll just do a square. Okay, let's try that. Yes. Okay. I like this. Most of the buildings end up being in a much more clustered. Oh, that's the other thing I want to do. Now that I remember, the NPCs always start up in the top left. That's not necessarily a terrible thing, but it's not very organic. But the NPCs do seem to kind of stay where they were the last time I left the village, which is fine. As long as they're not resetting up to the top left corner. But what I want to do is NPCs go to bed at night. So right now, the NPCs go to work. So this is an inn. So this NPC is just kind of hanging around, but the other NPC over here is actually the innkeeper. All right, and then we have a shopkeeper in these 2 shops. So I'm going to go 1 out of 3 chance. Weapons. Yeah, I need to sharpen a blade. Okay, there's a weapon shop. And then coming over here. This is going to be armor. Items. Okay. Okay, so an item shop. And I think the code is set up where not every building type is guaranteed to be generated. And I'm okay with that. I don't want every village to be exactly the same. In fact, I want to have some situations where a village may be highly specialized. Maybe it has a really good weapon shop and nothing else. Okay, there's the armor. And now I can go to night mode and everybody just stops in their tracks. That's not what I want. But I'm glad that they just kind of stop. That makes me feel like there's like an opening for me to give logic instead of me to fight existing game logic. So I am not mad about that. When I turn back to day, they go back to their little routines. All right, so the idea is that every NPC has a home and has their own bed in that home. Now, it looks to me that only small homes are being made. I need to change that. Yeah. We need some big homes. Okay. First, let me fix the whole thing about the homes being so small. Oh, another thing is I made manual changes to the code. So I changed town layout generator. So I am going to let the AI know that I changed that file by giving it a copy of what I did. So that way, if it decides that it needs to modify this file, it won't change my size and my padding back to the old way. Okay, so next, what did I say I want to do next? I want, do I want the, no, I want the residence buildings to also be medium and large. So I noticed the residence buildings are only small. Can we make it where medium and large residence buildings can be created as well? All right. Yeah, I want a little bit more variety. Notice the shops are also only the small ones. The inn is only I've only seen like the medium, I think. So let's check. Now that I can see the town in more of an immediate snapshot. So like that's a medium inn. And those are medium shops, and the residences are always small. So it seems to be kind of stuck in a decision of the size for each one of the residences. You know what I'm going to do is, I don't really think I need this coordinate system for the player anymore. So I need to go find out where that's being printed from and go ahead and comment that out. And I want it to give me a status of what buildings were made. So I don't have to go and search for them. Oh, here, look at this. So we got town 0, required beds 7, provided beds 7, total buildings 8. I say no. Let's double check that information. So if I run the game again. Okay, so it is claiming that 6 beds and 6 buildings. How can that be? Because the inn has 4 beds. No, we are not allowed to count the inn. So we got 1 residence. So that means there should only be 2 residents based on this logic. No, there's 3. I'm sorry, but you are not counting properly. Oops. Okay, those are all individual beds. I'm only seeing, it's either 3 or it's 7. So neither one of these is adding up properly. Strange. So there must be something wrong with the logic of how it's counting the beds. Yeah, definitely going to have to add some debug statements. And I think I should nip that in the bud right away, because I'm going to need this logic to be correct in order to get the NPCs to behave properly. And that's probably one of the reasons why they all just kind of stop where they are. Okay, of course, to enable medium and large residence, you need to make a few adjustments to how building size is determined and pass through the generation process. Good. Okay, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, like actually keeping track of the correct information. The core of the change is to store the desired size within the building object itself. Then have the world generation orchestrator randomly assign a size when creating residence requests. Okay, let me read that again. Core of the change is to store the desired size of the building object itself. Then have the world generation orchestrator randomly assign a size when creating residence requests. You know what I might have to do in the building generator sandbox? I may have to count the beds as they are created in the buildings and send that information over. So this might actually be the job of the sandbox creator to count the beds. First, we'll modify the building class to include size property and makes the intended size a persistent part of the data's or the building's data. Okay, interesting. I have a feeling it's going to be able to handle this the way that I'm asking. I don't feel like I'm fully following its logic, but let's just go with what is happening. By the way, I haven't really made made some changes here. I'm wondering if I should. Yeah, let me commit real quick, because everything's working, nothing's broken. I think I fixed fireplace asset and made the town smaller for debugging. Yeah. Okay. Nope. Oh, that's interesting. Wait. Don't have a huge amount of experience with version control. Ah, got it. I had a git add. I didn't put a space. All right, there we go. And everything should. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Now, if I break something, it won't be so big of a deal. So we got core world. Okay, here's core. Here's world. I think I can make the generator sandbox small. I don't think I'm going to need stuff in that right now. And then building.cs. Yep, it's a small file, so it should have given me the whole thing. What did it change? I think it's about the building size. Anyway, not entirely sure. Yeah, okay, so it was the size. So it's keeping track of size now. And then services, world generator, orchestrator. Where are you? There you are. Okay. This is a bigger file, so I'm not going to try and figure out what was going on in this one. I'm just going to trust it. There's some things in here that got a little ahead of myself, like things about personality types for the characters and stuff. If you know what these 4 letters are, it's an if you know kind of thing. Look up Myers-Briggs. Building interior services. Okay, this looks like, only doing one method in here. So map to sandbox enums. Let's find that. Okay, I probably passed it down here. There it is. Okay, looks like it's all of that. So just grab this. Okay, what else? Town generator. Yep. Probably the entire file. Oh, and that might be the last one as well. All right, that update wasn't too tedious. Let's run it. Let me get rid of this find. Okay. All right, so what was my goal here? What was I even asking it to do? I want more building size variability. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, wait. Why did you lose your fireplace? Because I believe this version doesn't know about the new large fireplace. Okay, but that does confirm. Look, my shops are different sizes. My residents are different sizes. My tavern is a medium. My inn is a medium. Okay, I'm happy with this. All right, let's fix the fireplace. In the building generator sandbox, I made a new asset called large fireplace. We need to bring this over to the main game. The large fireplace tiles were empty in the town. Okay, should be able to understand what I'm talking about. Then after I have fixed this, let's see if we can get a proper bed count. And then we will see if we can get the NPCs to go to bed. It's kind of a big thing, and having a dynamic world like this would normally be an incredibly difficult thing to code. But this is the kind of stuff the AIs are actually really good at. Like, it's just really good at coding these kinds of complex systems. It's actually been a whole lot harder for me to get to orient a fireplace the correct way or the beds in the right direction than it is to get it to do search algorithms and pathfinding and things like that. It's just really interesting what the AIs are good and bad at. Of course, the issue is the main game's data structure and rendering logic haven't been updated. To understand what a large fireplace is, we need to teach the main game about the new object type, ensure its properties like rotation are carried over from the generator, and then rendered it correctly. Okay, I wonder if it's going to bring the assets over too. Okay, core world town tile. That's right there. Okay, oh, this is a small file, yep. So it's adding the large fireplace, as expected, and also should be bringing, yep, the dark red color as well that we noticed last time. Okay. I do find it to be a little bit of a bummer that there's slightly redundant code, that it can't go get this information from the generator sandbox. But I'm going to let it go for now because I don't want to poke the bear and complicate things. But in a final version of this game's code, I might get rid of the sandboxes as separate pieces of code and kind of consolidate everything later. So town layout generator. Okay. Where's that? That's in services, which is down here. And this is probably the entire file. Okay, good. And then, I see like large fireplace here. So, and then town context. That is in game states. Where is game states? Right there. Okay. This is a big file, so it might be the rest of the output. Ooh, no, it's not. It's also going to change my project file. Okay, that was a big extra chunk. And then if we go down here to the project file, boom. All right, let's see if that worked. I don't see any red anywhere. It's getting kind of late for me. Again, I'm already forgetting. What was I asking it to do? Oh, we had a crash. Okay, so I'm going to... Oh, failed to load the images. Well, okay, all right. Okay, I understand. Oh, interesting. So generate a medium. Hey, look, it's giving me the list. Large tavern, medium shop, medium shop, large residence. Okay, yeah, the next thing, once I get this going, I wanted to do a little bit better with like if it makes an N, I'm going to actually have it be like no bed, no bed, no bed, no bed. Maybe I won't go that far, but for like a residence, how many beds are in that residence? And it's also saying where, like probably like where the top left corner, or is it the size? Oh, that's probably is that the tile size of the residence? Could be, but boy, these would be difficult. Yeah, okay, yeah. That's looking like that's the tile size. I remember these numbers. Okay, so these are the tile sizes. I wanted to list how many beds are in that residence. So that way I can go in and count. Like a small residence, actually a small residence always has one bed, but I still want it to verify. Like if this had worked, let's just get this to work first. Let me stay focused. So one problem at a time. All right, I'm going to give it this. The game, ew, I'm all thumbs. The game crashed, and here is the terminal output. All right, let's see while it's processing if I can kind of investigate what happened here. So failed to load the image, large fireplace. However, you don't have the images for like any of my assets, right? So let me look at my directories. I don't think I have most of these assets in here. It's just in I think none of them are. So I think I need, first of all, it should be not trying to find the large fireplace, just as it's not finding the tables and the walls and things like that. And it should be going to the folder for the building generator sandbox for that. So, but I don't want it to... It's not using any of the files from the building generator sandbox for anything right now. So I don't want it to go digging. I want the building generator sandbox to put the assets on and then send all that information over if possible. I'm not sure how well it can send over the PNGs. If I have to access the subfolder in the building generator sandbox, then I will. Okay, but let's see if this fixes it instead. So, this graphics tile set, dungeon tiles, player sprite sheet, large fireplace. Okay, yeah, so it's trying to go into even kind of classic asset pipeline issue. The crash occurs with the main game, so someone is trying to load large files with PNG texture, but that file hasn't been included in its building process. Yeah, all right, I think I'm going to have it. Okay, I'm going to talk with the AI. Like, look, oh, it knows. Please note that for this to work, you must also ensure the physical file has been copied from the building generator asset graphics tileset folder into the story of someone assets graphics tileset folder. Okay, I'm going to ask it first. Is it possible for the building generator sandbox oh man, I cannot generator sandbox. Okay, is it possible for the building generator sandbox to place the PNG assets when generating the buildings and send the building pre-rendered with the necessary asset art to the main game. Then I only have to manage one folder of assets, and it's in the sandbox where I make and test all the changes. This just feels like the best way for me personally to maintain a pretty smooth workflow and not have to manage 2 folders at the same time. I mean, I'm pretty confident there should be a way. It's definitely not something that I would have figured out quickly on my own if I was having to learn all these aspects of coding myself. Yes, it is technically possible, but it is highly discouraged and would be a step backwards from our current best practices. Ooh, okay, see? Okay, it's an excellent insightful question. It gets to the heart of how different parts of a game engine should communicate. Okay, let's break down why the current approach is superior and why pre-rendering in the sandbox would cause significant problems. Problem with pre-rendering. In the sandbox, if the sandbox were to pre-render the building interior into a single image, we would face, so loss of semantic information. It would no longer, definitely don't want that. So I don't want this pre-rendering. So that was definitely the fault of me using a word in a way I didn't mean it. So that was a terminology faux pas on my part. The correct approach, our current architecture. Okay, the sandbox is a blueprint factory and is responsible for creating data-only blueprint. This blueprint contains all the necessary information. What type of object is at each coordinate, its rotation, its visual variation. It knows nothing about textures or rendering. The main game is the construction crew. It takes the blueprint and uses its own assets. Okay, I'm okay with this actually. If I could just keep a basic set of assets in the sandbox, and then I can have like all the different variations in the main game, and then the main game's code will decide where to put those assets as long as the factory, as it has been the blueprint as long as the blueprint put things together and they're communicating, they're on the same page. Okay, so I definitely like the AI's response to my question. It is all very reasonable. Okay, so separation is powerful. This separation is powerful. It means the main game can apply shaders, lighting, and animations to the individual tiles. Oh, now you're speaking my language. The main game can easily read the blueprint for collision and interaction logic. We can swap out the entire art style of the main game without ever touching the building generation logic. Oh, I'm getting like tingles. Like you are exactly on the same page as to like what I want, and I'm like a new game developer, so the fact that these are the kinds of things that I was imagining, I'm gonna have to dive into this stuff, and the fact that then the AI is being like, yeah, you're gonna wanna do these things later. So I'm like, yeah, you're right. The root cause of the crash you experienced was not a flaw in the architecture, but a simple oversight in the asset pipeline. Okay, yeah, well, I gotta put the assets, so I'm gonna copy and paste them over. Okay, all right, I get the point. You've convinced me, Gemini. So let's grab all of my tiles that I like. Sorry, I'm doing this off on my other screen, but I'm just gonna grab everything. Okay. And I'm gonna bring it over to the assets for the main game. All right, just so you can see what I did, I brought all my assets over into the main directory. Okay. Now, first, let's see if it will run because I now have the large fireplace in there. And then all I have to do is ask it to grab all the other stuff too. So I need one large residence. There's a large fireplace right over there. Okay. All right, since we're in here, let's see if the bed count makes sense. Okay, so I really need you to stop printing out that information. Okay, so 9 beds. Okay, so I see 1, 2. And the inn is not supposed to count. 3. 4. 5. No. So, does the inn have 4? Oop, I left. No, the end doesn't even have 4. So this bed count is just off, like completely off. All right. Let's get this bed count to be proper. Oh, actually, let's grab all the other assets. Let's make this place look... Well, no. I said, stay focused. I'm going to do the bed count. Okay, that worked. I noticed the bed count does not actually match what I see in the town. Let's make an update to the sandbox. Oh, the building generator sandbox. I had to think what it was called again. To properly count beds or send the count of the beds to the main game. Remember that the beds for the NPCs are only the beds in residence buildings. Is that enough detail? Okay, first of all, that fix I did was reasonably important because it makes the assets easier to import. All I have to do is ask it to bring over all of the other asset names and which tiles they go to the main game code. So we're going to, why do I always miss the space? We're going to go ahead and commit. Fixed the large fireplace and successfully brought the PNG asset into the game. Going to bring the rest of the assets into the game later. I don't know if it's really necessary to talk about what I'm gonna do, but I probably won't regret putting in those extra comments. Okay. Let's go. I should have just pressed go while I was making that commit. Silly me. Now we're going to be sitting here waiting, and I'll try to find something to talk about while we're waiting. One thing is that I do have a pixel art making program that I created. It's not the best thing in the world, but it gets the job done for my placeholder art that I am currently making, that you've been seeing. You know, I'm not an artist, and I don't know if I ever will be good enough to be considered an artist where I would, brag about it. But this is my pixel art making program that gets the job done. I can paste into these tiles, and then the tiles will animate. So if I add more pixels and then paste, then I'll have 2 frames of animation. So I've kind of played around with trying to animate things and stuff, but I want to procedurally animate everything in the game. I can loop, I can boomerang, but so I don't know how much I actually need this program other than for really basic placeholder animations or placeholder art. However, what I do plan on doing is, it's going to be hard to algorithmically describe and create every single piece of, like, every single item. I mean, maybe something like a bottle, I might be able to create just some sort of like an equation that has variables about bottle thickness and size and neck length, and if it has like a round bottom or a tapered neck and all that kind of stuff. Like, sure, that's a simple object, but like treasure chests and beds and statues and all kinds of other things, like there's just going to be some things that I'm going to have to basically draw at least a foundation for. And what I plan on doing is, instead of having set colors and just using things like maybe like shaders and stuff, not that I know a whole lot about shaders yet, and that does seem to be a can of worms that I'm bracing myself for learning about. Sorry if that was loud. Is that, what was I saying? Sorry, I was worried about being too loud for anybody that might be wearing headphones. I want to, instead of having like, I have a color and then maybe this color is trying to imply like a shadow, and then another darker color, even though these are hues, not shadows, might imply even more darker color, things like that, which actually should be expressed this way. Like the bright side for the base color would be on this end, and if this was the base color, then the dark side would maybe be on this side, and they're all the same hue. Okay, but they just have different brightnesses. Well, then that means that these colors have categories. They have like a purpose. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to create a standard color palette, and each color will have a reason for existing. And then I'll use those reasons, kind of like a coloring book, and I can change the mood, change the color palette, and different versions of the same items will be using the color palette in ways that will still be in harmony of color theory, but will look different, have a different mood. I can even have layers where sometimes there's extra noise or extra damage or things like that put onto, say, bricks or some sort of a surface, like vines on the wall of a building, but the color palette will shift accordingly, so that way the mood of everything stays is like, not the mood, because the mood is the thing I want to change, but the feel and the consistency of the colors will come along for the ride. I think this makes sense. So I'm going to attempt to create a new palette program that the game can then access, and I color my objects with those color categories relative to each other. It's going to take some more studying on my part, but and at some point may have to hire an artist to really take this thing all the way to the end, but that is the goal. All right, so I'm trying to get it to count beds better. So the building materials are updated to accurately count bed spots based on tile types it generates. World Generation Orchestrator will use this accurate counting method to determine how many beds in the residence and building. Importantly, World Generation Orchestrator will be updated to intelligently find entire bed objects, both twin and full, in the final town layout. Okay, yep, I am happy with all this. So, let's see. Building, is that in the dungeon sandbox? No, it's just in services. Really? I feel like the generator sandbox should have some sort of involvement in this, but okay. Maybe because it knows what the tiles are, it can just manually go in and count the tiles in the blueprint, which absolutely makes sense. And I am not upset if that is how it's approaching. That is actually a pretty good idea. Are we skipping some code here? We got bed count spots. See, okay, so was it just doing an overly complicated way, and now only the bed count spots function needs to change? Well, it's looking like it's just giving me a really simplified version, and a lot of times simpler is better. Okay, let's do it. Let's replace this entire thing. I get kind of happy when code gets shorter. All right, World Generation Orchestrator Replace the entire file content. Okay, will do. Let's just find the bottom of it. Is it the last thing? Oh, I thought we were going to have to change more than one thing. You had a list of three. You had 3 bullets. Oh, okay. So maybe just change 2 things in the world generation orchestrator. Okay, cool. All right, I'm excited to see if this is actually going to work, because then that will allow me to assign NPCs to beds, which I already asked it to do that. So what happened? Oh, okay. There's an error, and I wasn't paying attention. Gotten so used to it getting it right. Full bed. Yeah, you didn't. Interesting. A bed is made of 6 full bed tiles and provides 2 spots. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What didn't you like? Did I not save? Okay. Thought I did. Okay. Well, let's see. What is the error? World Generator Orchestrator. Yeah. Town tile type does not contain definition for the full bed. That is strange. All right. I do not know why. So I got this error. We'll just let the AI handle it. Why would you have a twin bed definition and not a full bed? Okay, you hit a compiler because we introduced logic that uses town tile type dot full bed without actually loading the full bed. All right. Add full bed to... yeah, why didn't you? All right. So I never had a full bed in here? I got bed. It's just bed. Okay. So full bed. Interesting. I'm really surprised. Oh, up here. So I had bed. Wow, how did that slip through the cracks? So interesting how the AI is like really smart and then can make some really interesting, silly mistakes like that relative to the amazingness that it can produce. It's all about the relativity of it that just is really fascinating to me. Okay. I don't see any errors on the left, so this should be correct now. Nope, I'm going to get a virus check. Okay. All right. Before it goes off the screen too far here, we have required beds, provided beds 7. Hey, that's a good sign because, like, a lot of times... So we got it like it's just matching. Like, well, what a coincidence. But I did say you can have more beds than needed. So we have a small residence, so that's 1 bed. Oh, and I don't know what that is. Let's just go inside. All right. We got 2, 4. Okay, that looks like the end of there. So then, okay. So we got 2, 4, full bed, 5, 6, 7, and yes. And the end does not count. Okay. And so then we have NPC 1 shop, 2, 3 for the inn. Oops. Oh, hey, now. Okay, and then I guess there's probably like, do they tell me how many NPCs they made? No, but I said 2 to 4. Okay. Will you guys go to bed? No, but that's the next thing I'm doing. Okay. Now that there are enough beds for the NPCs, look at that spelling, maybe enough. I would like to have the NPCs go, first, be assigned to a bed. For twin beds, one NPC each. For a full bed, up to 2 NPCs. When the NPC goes to bed, I want the NPC's sprite to be on top of the bed, the respective bed. For the full bed, put the 2 NPCs on the center tile and next to each other. I hope that makes sense. Like, I want them to be like in the middle of the bed, but on either of their sides. I don't want them like sitting all the way at the head of the bed or the foot of the bed, because it's a 2x3 grid. We'll see what happens. We can handle that. When day mode is toggled back on, the NPCs go back to their assigned daytime behavior. Okay. All right. I'm excited to see if this ends up working. All right. While that's crunching, I'm going to get some water. I'll be right back. All right. Let's see how this turned out. So the idea is that we are trying to get them to go to bed. Okay, so we need to be more precise in assigning bed spots, especially for full beds that can house 2 NPCs. The NPCs, and you need to know when it's in bed to stop moving and to signal the renderer The rendering logic needs to draw the NPC the sprite on the bed tile when they're sleeping instead of their normal magenta square. Oh, interesting. Hey, AZ. It's going pretty good. So we kind of tightened up the town a little bit, and I'm starting to get NPC behavior. I have all of the buildings at various sizes being generated in the map, and I'm trying to get NPC behavior. I'm trying to get them to go to bed, so I've assigned them homes and beds, and they also have jobs, and we're about to test to see if they will go to their respective homes and go to sleep when I turn on night mode. And that's kind of like the minimum behavior that I kind of just wanted to get put into the game to have the town feel a little bit alive. I'll add a whole lot more behavior as I get things going. Like get all the foundational stuff like inventory and shopping and fighting mechanics and leveling. Like all those things are like super, super important for making the game fun. But this was kind of like just the low-hanging fruit that I wanted to try and tackle. And the last thing that I think I want to try and do, I wrote down my notes here for this stream, is to get all the asset art that I have actually drawn into this map. I don't think you have seen that. And, I'd be happy to show you what's going on. I don't know how long you plan on being on this stream. But let me just get this update put in, and then I'll show you my sandbox generator for the buildings, so you can see the art that I made. Yep, it's nothing special. It's just so that way it's not just a bunch of colored boxes. So let me copy this method in. I'm definitely excited about this update because I'm starting to feel more and more like the town has some personality to it. Oh, okay, we're changing this file. I haven't touched this file in a long time. Is this the whole thing? Kind of looking like it's gonna be. So for anybody who watches this stream, AZ is also a vibe coder. He has a stream, AZ Anything, where he is working on a chat interface to help him out with his business. And he is a software developer. I forget what you said. I think you were mentioning that people who do like front end or something and maybe need help with like the back end stuff. I know that you seem to be pretty knowledgeable in like the security aspects of coding and things. So you have like a private business that you are like help out developers that just need specific skills is how I think I have understood what your goals are and what your services are. And so you're making a chat app. I don't know if app is the right word. I think you're also putting it on desktop. So I'm not trying to imply that it's a mobile only kind of thing, but you're creating an interface for you to talk with clients. And I think that's cool that you're making your own tools. I think you and I have that kind of same goal, in that I make my own tools even for making my own art. And I'll show you that if you got some time as well, that I have my own pixel art making program that I made. I'm getting a little distracted here. Where is the game states folder? Why can't I find it? It is probably in no, it's supposed to be in the main directory because it's game state. Oh, here we go. Yeah, town game state. Okay, so alphabetical order. Yeah, it's right there. It's right in front of me. I don't know why I'm having a hard time seeing it. Okay, this is a big file, so this is probably the last one. Yeah, there we go. All right, that could have gone a lot faster if I hadn't. Oh, wait, what did I do? I don't think I clicked this. Wait, yeah, I did. Oh, why is it? No. Oh, it wasn't the last file. Yeah, I find it like late at night my time. Gemini gets kind of sluggish, and it's hard to scroll. Even the chat input is a little slow. Okay, so game.cs, yeah. Thanks for the shout out. You're a TypeScript developer. Your niche is assisting Vibe coders to improve their code base and workflow. Yeah, you'd be the guy for that. So, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, you and I have some very similar, like we have two different flavors of vibe coding, but our general like philosophy is like pretty similar. Okay, initialize, there it is. That was a long method name. I didn't want to. I feel like I was going to be able to find that one pretty easy. Okay. Let's get that one in there. And that should do it. I don't see any errors. Come on, let's put our people to sleep. Time for bed. Not for me, but for you guys. All right, so the way this is working is it makes a bunch of NPCs. It will make sure that there's an NPC that does a job in every shop. Let me move this over so we can see a little bit more is going on. So what it did is I can see in my terminal, it made like a large residence. So it made 3 large residences. So those all have full beds. And a medium residence, and it said that I require, and then it makes a couple bonus NPCs that just kind of like around the town. So it needs 8 beds, and it ended up providing 8 beds. So everybody has a bed. There's no extra beds. The lag in Gemini comes up. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So it could, my stream. I wouldn't be surprised if my stream is getting affected. I think definitely the upload speed of my internet is like barely good enough for the resolution that I chose. And you're right. Some of the Gemini lag could just be directly connected to the fact that I'm streaming. I also found that like the preview in my stream and YouTube Studio is like significantly behind real time. But yeah, you might be right. It is a little earlier than when I usually start feeling lag when I'm not streaming. Usually I don't really start feeling some serious lag until like 3 in the morning my time, which is when like America is starting to wake up. And I think that might be the reason, like East Coast America. So, all right. Let me give you a tour of the town. So here's a shop. There's a shopkeeper on the left. This is an inn. That's an innkeeper. This is a residence, so that's why nobody is in here, because everybody is out doing their job. So if I press N, the big time streamers use a separate computer for streaming. Oh, stream lag is pretty common in general. Interesting. Okay. You know, if you could give me just like a general feedback on the quality drop, that would be helpful. Because I can't see how it is. And then once it's posted, I don't really think you get the quality drop, because YouTube probably gets all the data and then just turns it into a video after the fact. All right. Okay. Oops. Nighttime. Let's see what happens. Everybody's just kind of stuck. Boo. Oh, well, not everybody is. Oh, wait. Maybe there's just kind of like a confusion or a lag. Let's see what happens. Sometimes NPCs block each other, and they have to they sit. Okay, this might actually be just a coincidental outlier bug in that maybe this guy and this guy are having a hard time pathfinding, and because they're stuck, then this guy can't pathfind through the door. But I'm not convinced, because I don't feel that. We're gonna wait. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you going into the shop, that's not making me feel like you're doing what I want. Yeah, everybody's still just wandering around. Okay. Bummer. I was excited for this to work. Let me give it one more time. I'm going to turn it into nighttime one more time. Okay. No, still. Okay, well, at least the innkeeper's moving this time. quality just temporarily drops to 720 or 480. Sometimes it causes the playback to drop out of live mode and play a few seconds delayed instead. That's annoying. That's not like... yeah, I could see that potentially like ruining people's experience of a stream as things get a little bit more exciting. All right, yeah, they're just wandering around. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna give Gemini one more try. Oh, what happened here? It's like I was leaning on a key. All right, that's fine. During night mode, the NPCs just seemed to wander around. Can we check that we are pathfinding to the assigned beds properly? Okay, while it's doing that, easy, if you're still interested, I'll take you over to my sandbox generator, and you can see the art versions of the buildings. And that's the next thing I'm going to do once I get these NPCs walking properly. So, there we go. Look, there's an actual bed and a door and like some walls. And I can make the residence bigger, and there's a twin bed, and then there's a full bed. Then if I go to the inn, little bed and breakfast. Yeah, thanks. Individual bedrooms. So this one's dorm style. Individual bedrooms with beds, and a mix of twin beds and full beds with various bedrooms. And then if we go to the shop, I haven't done anything there. I need to make the countertop, and I'm not gonna go crazy with the shop right now with like decorations. I'm just trying to go with just basic infrastructure. And then the tavern. So I still need to do the countertops and the bar stools and the stage, but I did make kind of like a circular-ish table, and there you go. So yeah, I plan on importing the assets that I have finished over, so at least things look a little bit more like you know what they are intended to be instead of they're just being colored tiles. Yeah, so I like this, and I'll try not to get too distracted wanting to make the art better and better and better too soon. I need to make the game first. All right, what happened here? You correctly diagnosed the problem. I didn't diagnose anything. I just told you there was a problem. The NPCs are wandering because their pathfinding is failing. The root cause is the bed tiles themselves are not marked as walkable. Yeah, well, come on. Yeah, that should have been... Yes, I didn't explicitly tell you to make the beds walkable. My bad. That is my fault. You have to be very specific with the AI in a lot of situations, and that was a shame on me moment. But I'm still going to blame the AI. All right, so the Pathfinder can't generate a valid path and gives up. Right? Come on, Gemini. Like, you're so smart. Yeah, you can be so dumb sometimes. The NPC then falls back to its default wandering behavior. Okay, I get the point. All right, so I get the point that you get the point. And that's what's important. All right, NPCs. Let's update this. I have a feeling this update's not going to be too much. And then game states, town context. Oh, you giving me this entire file? Okay, let's see if I can scroll and not miss a file. Okay, yeah, that feels like that's all the same file. Okay, all right. That might have been a nice quick one. Oops, I'm in the sandbox still. All right, let's do now. Okay. All right, everybody. They always spawn in like the top left corner of the map. Yeah, right? Progress is so fast. I know. Like I see I look at old school streamers, like streamers who have really established themselves, but like Gemini's only existed for about, I don't know, maybe it's gotten to its 3-month birthday already by now. And at least 2.5 Pro, which is when things really got serious for me. And they're still coding in the traditional way, and I watch their streams, and I'm like, you did a 3-hour stream and you got like a Switch to work. And I mean, I'm trying not to sound critical. It's just such night and day on the level of progress of an experienced game developer versus what I'm able to pull off now. And we are in a major transition phase. Okay, evening time. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'm getting a lot of debug statements here. Let's see what we got. So they will wander. I'm going to definitely put this into the AI. Let it know that's happening, because it doesn't look like everybody's finding a way to get home. Let's see, in town. Let me scroll up and look at this. Town 4 has no walkable tile next to their bed. Next. Hey, look at this, though. Look, they turned into little people. I didn't expect that. There's little people in the beds. Wow. Okay. So looks like Gemini took some liberties here and was like, well, you have a little player character sprite. Let me let me go put a little person in the bed. Oh, neat. Okay. So why are we having non-walkable areas? And who is not? So yeah, who is not getting a bed? Okay. So one character's not making it to the full size bed, it looks like. And then, yeah, no, I don't have enough beds. Okay. I know I got like a lot of scrolling I got to do, but I want to know how many people got generated. I need to do a count. Hey, wait, that's not me. I'm not scrolling up. What are you doing? Okay, I'm going to have to quit. So it looks to me like I have 2 wandering NPCs. Let me just do a little tour of the town again. Okay, so I have 3 NPCs that oops, that's okay. It remembers. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, it went to daytime again. Okay, go back to night. This is a good test as well. So you go right back to your beds, and maybe it'll do better this next time. Okay, so I'm gonna watch them turn into little people. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah. So it looks like I still have 3 NPCs that just have nowhere to go. All right, so let's quit out. Try to scroll all the way back to the beginning of this run. It went off it rolled over. Okay, I'll just do a new one. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do an actual count of how many NPCs get created. Oh, my fingers missed the keys. And then I want to see how many end up wandering. I think the count of NPCs and the count of beds are not actually accurate. Like, why is this guy just sitting up here? What would they say if I talked to them? This is the armorer. So why are you not going to work? All right, looks like these bugs are going to be a little bit more involved than I was expecting. Okay, now let me send them to bed. So I don't know if it's noticeable that there's a little evening indicator in the top left corner of the map. Yeah, I wonder why that armor is stuck up there. All right, we have 1 resident up here, success. 1 down here, success. We got 2 twin beds in that bedroom, but I only see 1 person going. And that's it. Okay, so I call BS on proper count of people. Now, maybe this guy's going to that bed. Nope. Okay, so I have one bed that didn't get a person, and I have 1, 2, 3 NPCs that are just kind of stuck. Okay, so what's the total number of NPCs? I gotta hurry up before we'll get a rollover. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I have 7 NPCs. I'm not getting the unwalkable warnings this time. And it does seem, yeah, okay, it does have 7 NPCs, but I don't have that many beds. No, you're not counting the beds properly. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The inns don't count. And that wouldn't even work anyway. Am I missing a bed? Is there one kind of out here? I doubt it. Okay, so something is wrong. It's not counting the beds properly. How do I prove this, though? This is actually going to be a tough debug for the AI to figure out, because I can't take a full snapshot of the entire level. I could make the screen bigger so I can take a full screenshot, and I could try. I could tighten up the. Yeah, let's do that. So there is. I am able to. I gotta remember which town layout generator. I am able to bring in the size of the map, and let's go. The height being 40. I could do the math on my screen resolution. Let's do height 40 and width 70. That's a 7:4 aspect ratio. And the padding between the buildings is 1. Oh, did you get the name of the game right? Oh, no. It's Story of Someone. But you know what? Story of my. I am not angry about you presenting an alternative title. And because Story of Someone, the reason why I call it Story of Someone is because it's my goal that every single time you play the game, it's going to be a different character. And I don't just mean that you get to name your character and that's why it's someone. It's who they are, their backstory, their friends, their family, where they live, what kind of a village they grew up in is all going to be procedurally generated. So that's why I'm kind of leaning on this whole, it's just someone. And at least there's alliteration, story, someone. But, story of my life, that there could be a whole other argument for why that might actually be a good title as well. So, I'm not swatting that one away. I was thinking of the short story by Ted Chiang called Story of Your Life, which was made into my favorite film, Arrival. Oh, okay. Wait, now, the Arrival, that's the one with the alien ships, right? Because I don't know the book, but I do like the movie Arrival that I'm thinking of. But I think there might be more than one movie. Okay, there is. I think there's more than one movie called Arrival, or there's a book called Arrival that is not the book for the movie. But yes, we are talking about the same movie, and yeah, I do like that movie a lot as well. I really like. Hey, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, but there's a little bit of a time loop aspect to it, and I love time travel stories. I love temporal based stories. I actually wrote a rough draft of a science fiction novel, and I only finished the rough draft, and I didn't start doing revisions or anything. And it's an alien invasion. It has time travel aspects of it. I love space. I love sci-fi, and I love time travel stories. So that was one thing about Arrival that I felt was kind of a pleasant little surprise. However, the one criticism I have about that movie is, and this is not really a spoiler, is I felt like the time travel aspect, it's not really time travel. I felt like the temporal aspect of the movie had a paradox. And my goal in my story was to have the time travel rules create zero paradoxes and still be interesting. And I have two reasons for that particular goal. One, I want time travel to be possible. And if there's no way to explain a way of time traveling without paradoxes, to me, I think that means that time travel isn't possible. Because I don't think you can have paradoxes in reality. And the other thing is I love time travel stories, and I try to ignore paradoxes. Like the classic Back to the Future is it's just all paradoxes. But it's such a good movie, so I just ignore it, right? But I'm like, there's gotta be a way to make an interesting time travel story where the time travel rules don't have paradoxes. And I think I did it. So maybe one of these days I will finish revising the book and get an editor and actually publish it. So I don't mind getting a little distracted. Here's how I fix the paradox. And I think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe did a pretty good job of trying to avoid the paradoxes for as long as they could by having the multiple timelines. And my quick, 1 minute version of trying to explain this is, if you go into the past, you make a new timeline where there are time travelers in the past. If you go into the past in your lifetime, there were no time travelers in the past. If you go back 10 years ago, there were no time travelers. So when you time travel to the past, that's the first time it happened. Well, that's a paradox. Well, fix that paradox. That means you made a new past. Now, I do have this magical thing in my story called the temporal anchor, because the only way to get back to the present is if you keep a connection from the new past timeline and your present. Because once you open a new timeline in the past, the present has a history of there being time travelers, and your present didn't. So they are not the same branch. So I do kind of hand wave a little bit and have a temporal anchor. The movie The Tomorrow War has this concept. And then going into the future, that is your future. So if you and I decide to go into the future 1 week and see the results of a lottery, what would we experience? I think we would experience a future where we're gone on a trip into the future and we were missing for a week. And then when you come back through the temporal anchor again, I still need that anchor. It creates, as soon as you close that anchor, it creates a whole new version of a future timeline that you could experience if you opened the anchor again and went to the new version. But every single time you open that anchor and close it, you create a whole new future. So I think I've avoided all paradoxes with this concept, and the temporal anchor is the magic system in this sci-fi story. A pocket dimension. I'm not sure if I know what the definition of a pocket dimension is in your context, but my guess is probably that that's based on me thinking about those words, that's probably an accurate description of what I'm doing. Yep, like a little temporary dimension that you have access to. It'll continue to exist when you leave, but you can never get back to it. You can only go there once, come back, and then you've lost contact. Once that temporal anchor closes both to the past and the future, you can never see that timeline ever again. I mean, we're all out of our depth because none of this is actually real. It's all fiction. So, right? Okay. What was I wanting to do here? Let's see. It was the count, the NPC. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know how to troubleshoot this. I got to get the AI. That's right. I was changing the size of the map. Fiction for now, right? Especially if AI starts discovering new science for us and solving a lot of major problems. You never know. In the next decade or two, we might be able to time travel. We might discover all kinds of new physics that we weren't able to figure out before. Okay, let's see if I can see the map all in one snapshot. I may have to expand the size of the window as well. Yeah, so I can't quite see the entire town, but if I make my game window bigger, then I should be able to. Where is that? Probably in game.cs. Let's see. Or it might be in my config file. Camera config? Nope, that is super simple. Game config. There you are. Okay, so I'm using an ultra wide. So I can go 3440. I think it's by 1980. We're gonna find out. Oh yeah, I mean you're probably getting cut off a little bit, but I am getting absolute full screen now. All right, let's see if I can get the entire town in one shot. Oh wow, okay. There's 5 buildings. There's only 2 beds, and there's a lot of NPCs. Like this is way off. I think the extra NPCs are the problem. So I only have 2 shops. I have 2 shops and a tavern. So this and an inn. So I have at least 4 NPCs with jobs, and I only have 1 residence with a set of twin beds. That is no. Okay. Well, still, the whole point is for me to take a picture and be like, hey, AI, this is what I got. Fix it. All right. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 NPCs and only 2 beds. I am making more NPCs than beds. Look at the image. There are 6 NPCs, but only 1 residence with 2 twin beds. You know, and then I should look at the terminal too. I should have tried to put them to sleep and seen what the behavior was. Okay, so it's claiming in the terminal that I have 6 beds. Oh, okay. So it's counting NPCs properly. It is definitely not calculating the beds properly. And it says there's 7 buildings. No, there's only 5. Oh. Could not place buildings here. Oh, it's trying to generate. I see. Okay. For debugging purposes, I should probably restrict the size of the occupational buildings to small so I can fit as many buildings as I can. Yeah, okay. I'm making the town so small that it's failing to generate all the buildings. So I had a residence, 2 residences that did not get generated, and that might have resulted in the correct amount. Okay, so let's be careful what we ask the AI to do. I'm going to ask it to try and fix a problem that's not the right problem. So I'm going to give it the terminal. Oh, look, it even said not enough beds. Item shopkeeper 3, they will be homeless. I'm sorry, that's funny. That's funny to me. Like, oh, that's so sad. Okay, well, hold on now. So that's good information because, yeah, it's saying there are 4 people that are going to be homeless, and that's... Yeah, what happened? Okay, I'll show you. I'll try to show you. I already closed this instance. This to me is just hilarious. Okay, let me try and I made my town too small. And okay, so let's see. It looks like I think I have 7 NPCs. Let's see if this makes sense. So I have a tavern, 3 shops, an inn. And then I have it create maybe like 2 to 4 just extra NPCs that are like, I'm eventually going to make them into like farmers and things like that, doing stuff outside. And so, okay, the shopkeepers are going into their shops. And the thing is, though, is that there are 4 beds. Okay, so unfortunately I can't move my window because I made it like full screen. And I can't go to the terminal unless I turn off the game. But if there's only 4 beds, the inn doesn't count. This building in the middle is an inn. People can't live at the inn. They can only live at the houses. So the houses are these two top buildings on the left and right. Well, there's 7 people and 4 beds. Okay, so now that we have that information established, that we don't have enough beds for people, if we look at the code, when it created the world, it says like there's a medium residence, a large residence, okay, and then here it didn't have enough room to make 2 more residences, so it couldn't assign a bed or a house for the weaponsmith, this resident, and the armorer, and it says they will be homeless, and that's what caused me to have my laughing fit. I mean, sorry, my bad. I mean, it's my fault. Creating homeless NPCs. I'm such a bad overlord. Anyway, so let me... I have 2 choices. I may have to do both of them. I need to not have such large buildings getting generated while I'm in the debug phase. So I could restrict, like these 2 shops are huge. So maybe I should only allow small shops and small inns and small taverns. And then also just expand the size of the world, or of the town, because I tried to restrict the size of the town in order to fit everybody into one shot. Let me see if I can just make the town a little bigger. All right, I'm going to do some math because I kind of know, basically, I know the resolution of the map, and my grid, they are 32 by 32 pixels. So if I do the math, I can do it on the screen so you can see kind of what I'm calculating here. I'll bring my calculator app. Oh, no, not programmer, not today. Yeah, right. Realism getting a little too real. Yeah, I mean, if I start making assets, I have to make some like tattered looking NPCs when they end up without a home. Oh no. It's getting dark. So 440 is my screen resolution, and then if I divide that by 32 pixels, that means I could do 107 tiles wide. So let's go ahead and just do like 100. And then 1980 is my screen height divided by 32. So 61. So I'll do 50. All right, because I have some padding between the buildings here. This is a minimum padding. I feel like I should have a maximum padding. That would really help with debugging. You know what? That's something. Okay, let's see how well this works. I may make a maximum padding where like all buildings have to be 1 tile from each other, and just really tighten up this town so I can fit as many buildings as possible. But let's go ahead and save that and see if I can not have failed building generation. Okay. All right. What do we got? So we have an inn. We have okay. We have some large residences now. So we got 4 large residences. So that means we can house 8 NPCs in theory. And I have a shop, 2 shops. I have a tavern, and okay, well, we can just count the NPCs. So it looks like I have 8 NPCs. All right, everybody should have a bed. I'm going to go ahead and do night mode. Go to your homes. Okay, so not everybody's going to their homes. And this is ultimately the bug that I'm trying to figure out. Now, I don't think it's a coincidence that it's looking like I'm getting one NPC per full bed. And it looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I have 5 NPCs. Is anybody getting to that other residence over there? No. Okay, this is gonna be tricky. This is one of the more difficult debugging issues that I've had to tackle in a little while. And I've got to be strategic here. Think. How can I... Maybe I can show the pathfinding visually. Or, okay, I'm going to ask the AI, hold on. Let's get a little more information. Everything was a full bed. I want to see if twin beds get populated. It was probably a bit of a coincidence that I ended up with a bunch of big residences. Okay, here's a small residence. Just to the left of my character, there's a full-size residence, and then we got residences with twin beds. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beds. In this instance, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 NPCs, as far as I can tell. All right, now if I go to night mode, all right, looks like 2 of them stopped in their tracks, and I can't predict why just yet. One of them, I think, is because of the full bed, but I have 2 twin beds. Are we going to get at least one of these twin beds, one with a person in each? So at the bottom, we're getting a resident going to bed there, getting a resident going to bed there, and we're filling the twin beds, but nobody's going to the full bed. The full bed seems to be the consistent bug so far. Oh, I'm really happy that they're going to the twin beds. Okay, we have a bed for everybody, and 2 NPCs are supposed to be going to the full bed. I have a feeling that there's still a little bit of a walkable tile problem with the full bed. Okay. I'm going to go with that. I should have taken a picture of that, but that's okay. I think... Oh, actually, I'm going to tell it what I saw. So, NPCs... So, it knows not to touch certain things. NPCs made their way to the twin beds in both the small and medium residences. I did not spell residence right. Yeah. There seems to be a problem. Oops. With the full bed logic. Sometimes one NPC can make it to the full bed. In my last run, neither NPC assigned to the full bed made a successful path-finding solution to the bed and stopped moving. Is it possible that the walkable tiles of the full bed are not including all of the 2x3 tile assignment? If so, make all 6 tiles of the full bed walkable. I think the way that I expressed to the AI about how I wanted them to be in the beds might have created a logic where not all the tiles, even on the twin beds, are actually walkable. And I bet you while the AI is processing this, I could test that by trying to move my NPC onto the beds. I have a feeling that I will only be able to walk through the middle of the full bed and not the edge pieces. Yep. Wait, no, I can't even walk in the middle. Okay, maybe I can only walk in the middle on one side. That would be interesting to find out. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into night mode and let NPCs go to bed. Okay, so I cannot walk on the beds at all, which, good. That makes sense. I shouldn't be able to walk on other people's beds. So that test did not teach me anything as far as NPC behavior. Okay, well, it's looking like at least one NPC is going to make it to the full bed. And wait, so how many NPCs do we have? Is this everybody? Well, this is a unicorn right here. Like I don't think this one counts because I don't think 2 NPCs got assigned to the full bed, and I think that this NPC was able to make it to the square that it needs to get to, which is probably going to be the lower one. Yep. And I bet you what's going on is the upper square of the bed, of the full bed, is against the wall, and therefore the NPC can't get to that upper tile because the first NPC gets in the way. And it can't walk across the foot of the bed. That's my hypothesis. So, I think it's been long enough. At least I'm pretty confident no one's homeless. Yeah, the homeless messages are not coming up. So, I've at least solved my homelessness problem. I'm a good NPC daddy. Like, no homelessness in my towns, at least for now. All right. You've made a sharp observation. Of course, you always tell me that. The pathfinding logic is indeed the point of failure. NPCs can't find a path to a non-walkable tile, and the previous logic of finding an adjacent tile was flawed for multi-tile objects like the full bed. Your proposed solution is the most direct way to fix this to me by making the full bed tiles walkable. Yeah, and if that ends up looking weird when the game gets more advanced, I will fix that as needed in the future. But I just want them to be able to walk onto the bed no matter what. And then I can move on to the next problem. So, core, world, tile, town tile. So, AZ, if I still got your ear. Like last night, I ended up working on this stuff until 5 a.m. The birds started chirping, and I'm like, I need to go to bed. I'm gonna try not to stay up this late, that late this time around. But I didn't stream any of it because I just kind of wanted to be able to focus on some problems that were kind of, I don't know, they're kind of ADD problems, like let me just do this, let me just do that, instead of being focused problems. But yeah, that was a pretty excessive all night session for me. Yeah, I'm a generous NPC god. I try to be. I try not to cause too much suffering in my simulated universes. Okay, where is this? I know that I could do a find, but sometimes just kind of scrolling through gives me a chance to kind of look at my code and see what it is. Okay, I found it. Let's do exit town. I don't want to announce exit town. It seems like, what does that function have to do with what we're doing? Yeah, 5 a.m. I'll be sleeping late. I do. I'm kind of on vacation right now. I do also find it easier to stay up late than get up early. I've always naturally been a night owl, and I actually used to be in the military. And I will say I never truly got used to the whole having to get up super super early. It didn't really matter how many consistent days I would get up early. My circadian clock is just set for late nights. My dad was the same way too. He used to be a freelance artist, and a long time ago, before computers. I mean, literally before computers. And he would stay up super late to do most of his freelance work. So I think it's a little bit of a chance of there being some genetics there. Okay, don't see any errors. Let's see if this helped out. No homeless people. Okay, there's an inn. There's a large residence. Small residence. Okay, I'm glad we got some full-size beds. I'm going to go ahead and turn on night mode right away. Oh, look, most of everybody stopped. That's not a good sign. Wow, there's a lot of people. Do I just have a lot of homeless people? 1, 2, I'm counting the beds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's two for each one of those. 7. Okay, so I have 7 beds, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 NPCs. So I don't think I have enough beds for the number of NPCs anyway. And I have 1 NPC just wandering around the house, not actually going to bed. Wow, looks like we pretty much broke the whole bed logic completely. And no matter how many times I turn on, all right, that was worse. Okay, this is going to be a very tricky debugging. So we messed with, I'm going to have to read these. Finally, we simplified NPC's update method. Since it can now pathfind onto the bed tile, we no longer need to check for adjacency. Yeah, what were you checking for adjacency for? Okay, we just check if its current tile matches its assigned bed tile. Okay, good to know. But no one went to bed. You know what? I'm just gonna say that. Oh, let me run it one more time and see if I get the exact same behavior. Okay, go into night mode, and almost everybody stops except 2 people. I wouldn't be surprised if those 2 people are going to these single bed residences. And if they don't, then again, I don't know what's wrong. Okay, no, he's passing that. No, they're just wandering. They're just wandering. Okay, yeah, okay. This is really broken. No. Nobody went to any beds. And most NPCs stopped moving when night mode was initiated. Don't make me get ChatGPT in here. I will call your ChatGPT. I was like, I will call your dad. All right. In the last 24 hours, twice I've had to get ChatGPT 03 involved in a debugging issue, and we might have to get Daddy Chat on the team. Yeah, because these are some big updates. So if we're starting to kind of narrow down the logic. In fact, I may have to start. Well, it's only giving me methods. Since the bed tile is not walkable, we can target it directly. Yeah, but which tile are you targeting? Assign bed tile dot value. Current town layout active in this town NPCs. Yeah, there you go. Don't make me ask your father. That's exactly how this feels. Bed is now available. Oh, now bed is now walkable. Oh, okay. Oh, it's probably walkable to me too. I don't like that, but we will handle that later. I should test that. I should see if I can get my guy to walk over the beds. You're absolutely right to be suspicious. My apologies. The previous change introduced a regression by focusing only on the full bed and neglecting the regular bed type. This is a classic example of fixing one thing and breaking another. Yeah, stop doing that. Okay, you've identified two separate but related problems. I didn't identify anything. It always gives you so much credit for just saying it's not working. When I made full bed walkable, I forgot to also make the regular bed walkable. This caused pathfinding to fail, but the regular beds were working. You didn't have to. That's why I told you leave them alone, which is why most of them stopped moving. Okay, fix the full bed bug. Pun. For the full beds, the tiles are walkable, but if two NPCs are assigned to adjacent spots, the first one to arrive and go to sleep becomes a static obstacle. Yes, I agree with that. That's why I want all the tiles walkable. Pathfinder sees this sleeping NPC as a wall, preventing the second NPC from reaching the spot. Well, no, not. No. If the whole full bed is walkable, it can still get around the NPC. Oh, okay. Make all tiles of all beds walkable, at least for now, is what I hope it's going to do. And I hope that's actually the problem. Well, yeah, I know that's what it's doing, because now even I'm going to be able to walk all over the beds. And then pathfinding. Hey, you're actually updating the pathfinding file finally? I mean, that's kind of been the whole thing. Oh, whatever. You've been distracted, Gemini? You're absolutely right. How observant of you. You're so special. Good job. Yeah. Always eager to please. Yeah, gives you credit for everything. I do feel like ChatGPT is a little bit less. I mean, I know it was getting for a little while in the AI circles. It was, what was the word they were using? But it was like bending to everybody's will and just like being so overly like, you're so smart, you're so good. Oh yeah, we can do that. But I still feel like ChatGPT is a little less awkward about it than Gemini is. Okay, well, one guy's not moving, but he might be homeless. Because I feel like there's a lot of NPCs in here. So I'm counting the beds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's already 8 on the screen. 8, 9. No, there should be a bed for everybody. All right, let's see who goes where and which beds end up being vacant. Oh, I'm excited. Those full beds look like they're going to get some people. Boom! 2 people in a full bed for the first time ever. All right, well, why are these other 2 people not moving? This is a weird, inconsistent issue. Wait, can I go join them on the bed? Let's see. Here comes the creepy guy. And yes, how are you doing? Hey. All right. Why are they not going to those beds down there? And again, this is going to be a difficult troubleshooting because I don't have enough information. Okay. Does it tell me what the pathfinding status was in the terminal? I need to get rid of this information here. This is just No, it doesn't. It doesn't talk about pathfinding status. Okay. First, I need to find the line that prints this, because I don't care about my position. Where is this line being printed from? And we're going to start adding some debug statements to help solve this mystery. So what I'm thinking is I want to see the actual status of the pathfinding, see which NPC is succeeding, which isn't, see if there's any sort of a pattern. Maybe NPCs without jobs are not getting the pathfinding, or player 3 has entered the game. Yeah. What kind of a game are we playing here? So, not a game I coded. All right. It only was allowed because it had to be. I was not intending on making it where I could walk on beds. And that will get fixed in later versions. Trust me. I am not about to make some sort of like GTA like kind of thing. You know, it's interesting. Game developers get blamed for when players are able to do things, but the players are that are like considered taboo or whatever. But the players are the ones that are deciding to actually do the actions. So here I go. I'm going to become a game developer, and I'm going to have to think, do I want to prevent the option of certain role playing in my game? Or do I want to just let players be whoever they are? I mean, it's an interesting decision to make. Uh-oh. I might have to start a new chat. How many tokens in am I? Starting to get a little high. Yeah, 200,000 tokens with the... Okay, because it's starting to put code outside the code window. That means that the context window is starting to kind of lose some coherence here. All right. But did it answer my question? Because I just want to... Here's the code for games with the relevant section highlighted. Yeah, I just... Really? Where are you highlighting it? Because I just want to make the change, and then I'm going to start a new chat. Okay, well, it's in game.cs. And then I can just Control F. I just need to know what file it was in. Player. Oh, let's see. Console write. Wow. Okay, player is in there a lot. Let's go player dash pixels. There we go. Now we're narrowing down to 1. Okay, so I just need to comment this out. Okay, now let's make a new chat instance. So here's one of those things that I found, that even though it has a 1 million token context window, Gemini does, if you've like gone back and forth with it and had it process a lot of tokens over multiple chats, it starts to get a little, I don't know, like kind of, I don't know, schizophrenic or something. Like it starts hallucinating. But I have a very quick fix, and that's going to be my consolidator. So I'm going to give it all my code again. And there we go. And then I'm going to give it my general... Wow, I have a lot of these open. General best practices for coding. And my temperature's down to 0. And failed to upload my file. Let's try again. Oh, nope. This one. And again, I think I'm getting to that time of the night when it gets a little weird. Okay, so like my file is 138,000 tokens, just my code base, out of the 1 million token context window. That's giving me a little bit of a, like, is my game going to get 10 times bigger, or it just 9 times bigger? Maybe. So you can move your notes onto your code base so that it's included in your consolidated content. What do you mean? You can move my notes. So it's included in your consolidated content. Which notes are we talking about? Like, yeah. All right. Oh, you mean like the coding rules that I give it? Yeah. So I did, but it's the system instructions. So it's kind of like telling it how I want it to behave. ChatGPT has something similar as well. And so it's like slightly different where it's giving the AI a personality instead of just data. That's the best way I can think of it. Do you know if Claude has something like that? I think it does. I think all the major AIs have this ability to kind of give it a persona and a set of rules. So that's what that is. And I find it to work really well. And hopefully that's what you're talking about. All right. Let me refresh my memory on how the current version of this code works. And now my terminal should get less bogged down. Okay, so I'm just going to go to night mode immediately. Let's see who goes to sleep and who doesn't. Hopefully this one doesn't just work, because we did have one that was semi-successful. So occasionally I might end up with a run that just works. Actually, I think I might have told them to go to bed too soon. There might be a few NPCs just sitting up here. Nope, they're not. Okay, it's now daytime again. It always defaults back to daytime when I enter and come back. Okay, there's a residence way over here. Yeah, I have a feeling this one's actually going to work. It's not helping when the bug doesn't happen. I think it's functionality. Okay, I'm not sure, but I think it's functionality the same as is included in the prompt with additional context. I think it's like saying attach this to the start of every prompt. Yeah, I don't know if that's how it works. If it's attaching it to the start of every prompt, like maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if that's all it is. Yeah, I think I got the. I know you had a little typo there, but I think I understood what you're saying there. I think it's functionally the same as including it in the prompt with additional context. Yeah, I don't know either. I just know that they give you that tool that like ChatGPT has the same kind of thing. So to these LLM engineers, they felt like it was going to be a useful enough feature that they added it, and I run with it. I just trust them, out of the stuff. They keep calling it like a black box. And yeah, I agree. Oh man, this one worked. That's not good. I need to find one that doesn't work. All right, let the NPCs walk off from their spawn points. Let's spread out a little bit, and then let's see who stops. Everybody stop. All right, guys, come on. Like, if you're going to be broken consistently. This is not one of those, hey, it works, don't worry about it. No, because it didn't work once. Everybody's going to a bed. Okay. Maybe on that run, maybe I didn't realize it. Maybe on that. Were there beds that weren't populated? Did I just have a homeless person and I didn't check? I hope that was the reason. I'm going to do this a few more times. This is kind of, I need to increase the speed of the run. I can increase the frame rate. Oh, wait. Maybe if I make the night cycle too... Oh, maybe if I press the button too soon. Yeah, I see that. I see your sarcasm there. Uh-huh. Okay, I got one guy who's getting frozen now. So it doesn't work. Ha! I'm not supposed to be celebrating that. But can I figure out why? So I think I have some overlapping NPCs, so I'm having a hard time counting. Let's also see if anybody just keeps wandering around. So I think those two are going over to the twin bed. Yeah, this guy's just wandering into the shop on the left side. So I got one frozen, one wandering into the shop. I don't think everybody that could be assigned to this full bed got assigned. So somebody didn't get assigned to a bed for some reason. And I think I'm short one bed. So who's who? Someone's homeless and someone's just being a night owl. Okay, now that person didn't get frozen. So I may have an intermittent bug. And that just depends. You know, well, I wonder if pathfinding can't overlap each other. I'm leaning on that. So if the NPCs are too close to each other, when they were all clustered really close on the left-hand side, the pathfinding probably doesn't allow overlapping, and then they don't come up with a solution. And so, but when they're more spread out, then the pathfinding is less likely to intersect each other, and then it works. And I have one homeless NPC. And boy, when they're homeless, they just wander and they just go into people's houses. Like, yeah, that's all right. Is that homeless behavior? Okay, I was like, I don't have anywhere to live, so I'm just gonna spend the night walking around rummaging for stuff. And if you don't lock your doors, that's your fault. All right. I think I am. Just ask Claude. It says system prompts are instructions. Perpended to, boy, yeah, perpended. Boy, you really copy and pasted that one because I don't know what that means. Perpended to every user message that tell the LLM how to behave consistently. Okay, system prompts are instructions perpended to, prepended. That's why I don't know the word. I'm saying it wrong. Prepended to every user message that tells the LLM how to behave consistently. Okay, so it's just under the hood. Okay, yeah, so it's a convenience thing. It's going to, every single time, put that instruction at the beginning of the prompt behind the scenes. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for looking that up. Interesting little tidbit of information, understanding how these things actually behave. All right, okay, so it looks like I have a homeless NPC. Let's see if my... see if my terminal says this. Yes, they will be homeless. Did I fail? And I failed to place a residence. Okay, all right. You know, these are not necessarily bugs as far as the logic isn't working. I just have to figure out how to make my towns more robust and not make NPCs when I can't house all of them. Or I just have to make something that happens when someone's homeless. I have choices. So, and I do mean that as an or. I might make it where every once in a while, if there just happens to be a homeless NPC, it doesn't reject the creation of the town as a result of it or delete that NPC. I just have a homeless NPC. Why not? It's a feature, not a bug. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. I'm gonna have to write this one down. I've been taking little notes every once in a while, and something comes out that like consider. I'll put it in my main notes. Consider having homeless NPCs. I do want to have like wandering adventures in my world, and I can't remember, Easy, if I've ever talked about this when you've been listening on stream. I want to have wandering adventures that don't have a hometown, and when evening time is coming, they will go to the closest town, and they will have to book a bed at the inn. And if, like, for example, I have an inn, now that I have a visual aid, this inn, right here in the middle of the screen, has 5 beds. If 5 adventurers for the night come and book a room and come book a bed, and I don't get there in time, I can't stay at the inn. So I can't heal like in a typical RPG. And I have to like sleep out in the grass or something. Yeah, or set up a camp. Exactly. And so I will probably have like items where you could set up a tent or set up a camp, and like your healing will be minimal. Maybe it'll heal 50% of all your stats or something. Like it'll be the lowest tier restoration category. And then bed and breakfast inns, because I have 3 different sizes right now. A bed and breakfast inn will just heal everything. If you stay in a nicer room, then maybe it'll heal everything and give you a little bit of extra points on one of your stats for the day. And if you stay at a really nice one with a full bed, then maybe it'll give you +1 on all your stats. You know, I'll figure out the details on that. And one thing that I'm not going to mention very often as this game gets closer and closer to being an actual playable game is I do want to create a style of town where it's just like you have a strip mall. Like everything is top tier. You have a fully decked out weapons shop, armor shop, like a resort hotel, and like there's so many selections of procedurally generated items to buy. And when you stay at that resort inn, it's just like it just decks out your stats for like 2 or 3 days or something. And it'll be like 1 out of every town generations has a chance of this, and maybe 1 out of 500, like making it really rare. And you're just like, the world is your oyster. It's like, how much money do you have? So I think that would be fun. If you could rob camps easier than houses. Yeah. I would like to have kind of an Elder Scroll, Skyrim, Oblivion kind of like stealing system, lock-picking system, perhaps. I don't know if I'll get that sophisticated with the game. But those things are on my mind. The idea is that the game is retro in look, but modern in mechanics is my hope. Yes. Fancy towns should be hella expensive. I agree. And I want you have to pay premium. Like maybe a bed and breakfast is like 10 gold, and the medium, like a twin bedroom is like 15 gold, maybe a full bed's 20, but then like the resort is like 200 gold or something, like an order of magnitude more expensive. I think that would make things fun. But I do hope, I was talking with a friend of mine, he was suggesting an economy system in the game. So I think that if I can pull off having the entire world exist in kind of like a low render mode, and there's like an abstract integration of resources that are kind of being produced and consumed on maybe like some sort of like a timer or an equation. And so items can be bought by wandering merchants from towns. Items can be created by the blacksmiths based on what the town's resources are. If you find resources, you can sell them to the town. And then the blacksmiths will be able to make new items, and you can put in orders for items. And the blacksmiths will basically just kind of make whatever their specialty is. But it'll at least be within your price range. Things like that. So these are like really ambitious features that I'm thinking about adding, but I can't think of any game that has like all of these ideas in them. And I think I'll be able to pull it off because I'm doing a 2D version. So as long as I don't get too crazy with like the tight controls and and crazy art, and I just make it like pretty for at least mood, but keep it as simple as I possibly can and really worry about the mechanics and the feeling of being in this world. I think I can make something that's pretty unique. I want to bring in, let me turn on the night mode. Let's see if everybody goes to a bed. We understand that there's the homeless situation that could happen. And so there's this one guy at the bottom who's stuck, and I have a feeling it's a pathfinding problem. So we're going to see if there's a bed, because a homeless person still wanders. In fact, I got two potential pathfinding problems. So I'm going to let everybody settle in that can get to a bed, and then we'll see how many beds and how many NPCs we have a mismatch of. Okay, so he's going to that bed. We have an empty full bed over here, and we have 3 people and 3 beds over here. So looks like we're possibly gonna have, we got 2 empty beds and we have 3 empty spots, if I'm counting correctly, and 2 frozen NPCs. Okay, now I'm going to go to day mode, and I'm going to go to night mode. Let's see if those stuck guys find a way. No. So maybe I don't understand the bug. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to... This specific problem, I'm going to sleep on it. I'm not done with the stream for the day, but I'm going to sleep on this particular problem. And I think I'm going to have to figure out how to create some debug information. Maybe displaying the pathfinding as lines on the screen so I can see how the pathfinding behavior is working. Okay, see now it looks like this one's going to make it. All right, I'm going to let this one get to the bed, and then maybe the pathfinding, because of their relative positions, were intersecting and they were kind of both failing. Okay, yeah, that seems to me to be close enough. Let me... No, that shopkeeper still just won't make it to the bed. I'm going to let this one get to the bed, and then try one more time. Okay, wake up. Go to sleep. No, okay. I do not understand what's going on there. So, yeah, I'm either going to create, allow the game to create the pathfinding line so I can see them, show the status of the NPCs, like why is it stuck? I don't think it's homeless. Things like that. I want to bring the art into this. I'm tired of looking at squares. When I've got like 80% of my art actually exists, I want to see it. So I'm going to pivot. We got a whole new chat over here. And, hey, AZ, what do you think? I'm thinking about throwing in a commit, even though I have an unfinished bug. Think that's a bad idea? I don't know. See, I'm getting impatient. I want to do the art, and it should be relatively easy. Should be. I already kind of have the placeholder, like the process, kind of figured out already. Oh, okay. So if I just do a get add versus doing an add and a commit, I don't understand what's the advantage. Then you can keep your changes separate. Okay. But what does doing the add do for me? That's what I don't understand. I can understand why I wouldn't want to commit, but I don't understand why I would add and not commit. I'll give time for the delay to catch up here. I'll start typing what I want it to do while AZ's tutoring me here. I want to... Okay, here you go. You can try it out without risk. Just do git add, then make a random change and look at the source control in VS Code. Okay. But, okay. You can always unstage the changes. Okay, so I get that, but what is the advantage of the add? Like, why not just not do the add? What's the difference between not doing the add and doing the add? Maybe that's the best way for me to ask the question. So I want to add the art assets that the building generator sandbox uses in the main game. I moved the PNG files into the asset directory of the root game. They have the same file names. I think that should... Oh. Let's add the rest of the assets like we did for the large fireplace. All right. See how that works. Okay. So, oh. Yeah. Okay. I can try. So if so are you saying, AZ, are you saying that I should do the get add? Oh, it's like a checkpoint in a game. You can make more changes and then revert them without altering the staging. This is just my ignorance. I still feel like I don't understand why doing an add now is any different than me just being able to revert back to the last commit anyway, like having that option. That might not be the best fit for your current situation, though, since it sounds like you want to change your task, which would be better suited to changing branch. That feels like that makes a bit of sense and is scary to me because I've never branched before, and I feel like I'm in danger of kind of getting lost in the branches because I've never done it. That sounds like that makes sense to me, but I'm really reluctant. I'm already like kind of bummed that I'm having such a problem with this bug as it is. I feel like I'm pretty deep into this bug and have like done quite a few updates. The sunk cost is kind of poking at me right now. So hopefully I can just fix this bug. And I think I'll have to do the adding a debug mode in there. I just don't feel like doing it tonight because I think I'm getting a bit tired. My brain's kind of starting to get foggy. Oh, look at this. Why is it doing this still? This is weird behavior that this code is not being included down here. This is a new chat. Of course, expert game developer. Then when you want to bring your stash changes back, you can do get stash pop. Oh no, now you're really adding some stuff that I am like, yeah, okay. I'm gonna have to do some homework, but thanks for bringing that up. That's an option. Oh, I missed a comment here. Okay, you could go get stash, which will keep your current changes safe without committing them. Then you can check out a new branch with get checkout b branch name. Okay, I understand that. So get checkout. So does okay, and then you want to bring your stash changes back, you can do get stash pop. Well, okay, so this is probably difficult for us to have a discussion where I get to talk and you have to type, but and I can do my own homework if this gets a little too distracting for you, but and I appreciate the help. If I have changes on one branch that are kind of like conflicting with changes I did on another branch, wouldn't that create a problem? Like, let's say that I have changes in the same file but for two different ideas. Is that something that a lot of times if you're working with a team, that's why you have your own files and your own functions and you keep things separate, and it's like, don't you touch my file? Is that how that works? That's kind of a deep question, and if you don't feel like typing a response, then no, just ignore me. But yeah, this is very educational, so I appreciate you engaging with me on this at all. Oh man, this is a big file update. Okay, but it's good. So I'll have to do this in a couple chunks. I don't even remember which file this was. I scrolled down too quickly. Okay, town context. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get this beginning check. Look, I think it even left out a curly bracket. Man. I think even Gemini's getting tired. I'm going to go ahead and add this extra curly bracket just in case it's supposed to be there. And then come back up here and grab the beginning part that didn't get included. Oh, that's fine. I can do that manually. Look at all the errors. Yeah. So if you have conflicting branches, then you do a merge, which is visually selecting which lines of code to integrate from the two branches. But I don't think you will need to do that in solo development. Yeah, right. Yeah, I can probably avoid that. I'm probably dealing with two different things that I don't think town context, for example, is going to be touched by anything that's related to this pathfinding problem. Let's see what happens. Let's see if I have art. Supposedly, just that update is supposed to bring all of my assets into the map. Look at that. Oh, what happened to the bed? Why has it got a little blue box underneath it? Oh, I know why. Okay, I need to tell it to put a floor tile first. Those were the designated square colors for their categories. Look at that. Hey, I got my art in here. Could have done that a long time ago. I got all hung up on the NPCs going to bed. Cool. That ended up not being too big of a deal. The art adds depth. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, thanks. I mean, it definitely does, right? The one that I'm the most proud of actually are the bricks. Did hand draw those, and I think there's 4 different versions, and I feel like it was my first attempt at really trying to do like lighting, directional lighting to show depth on the bricks. So to me, I feel like not a bad first attempt. It was literally one of the first times I ever tried to do directional lighting on pixel art. So yeah. Okay, I'm too curious about the pathfinding since that was super easy and super fast. I need to see what happens when we go into night mode. Can you show me the paths that are created for the NPCs that guide them to the beds? They can be represented as, what do you think, just red lines that pass through the respective, let me not lead too much, just red lines, because maybe it doesn't even, I mean, it seems like they follow the tile-based system. If there is a status for the NPCs based on if they have a successful path or get stuck or are homeless, please display a debug message in the terminal. Keep the messages outside of any recurring loops. A lot of times it just keeps on printing over and over and over and over again. It just becomes hard to, I just want to see it once. All right, let's see what happens. Man, I really feel like I should I just do the ad? Okay, I'm going to do the ad. And, hey Z, if you have any other advice, I just don't want this rabbit hole to get deeper. If anything, at least, it sounds like I can come back to this moment if I end up like derailing things further and further. Okay. What was on my list? So, my to-do list was reduce the gaps in the town, which I did. Add the assets to the village, which I did. Finish the assets that aren't in the village. I had a feeling I wasn't going to get to that. I didn't do the countertops and the bar stools in the stage. I'll do that later. And the NPCs go to bed, and now it's still pending. If I get that solved, not only will I be super happy, but then that will be my conclusion for the night. I'm not going to pull a 5 a.m. round like I did before. Okay, what do we got? Oh man, it's just really not presenting the code properly. I think I'm gonna have to tell it let me display this chunk of code and tell it this section of code was not in the code box you provided. Please include this in with the rest of the code. The code from now on. You do not have to print out the code from the previous prompt. I've had to correct it on its formatting before, and then it's like, oh, sorry, and then just prints out all the code again. It's like, I didn't ask you to do that. It just said to stop doing that from now on. You don't have to give me the whole thing. I had to rewind, but not sure where you're at with Git. But you should be safe to do a git add not, and then make more changes. You'll move your current change into staging. Yeah, that's what I did. I just did the git add right now, and because I'm doing something that feels kind of scary and could end up going down a deep rabbit hole here and just derail everything. So let me go ahead and get that one pushed through, and let's see. I have a feeling Gemini's also getting tired or getting updates or something. It's getting really laggy and having this weird behavior. That might also just be a reason to to kind of sleep on this one, but I'm going to give it one more go just to try and expose the symptom. So town context. Let me get back into this. All right, let's get. Oh, stop. Come back. So let's grab the beginning. Missed comment. Okay, and let's go down all the way. This code, this file is so huge. I really need to refactor this file. If I'm going to be messing around with the town a lot, then this file needs to be chopped up. Okay. And it did exactly what I told it not to. It extra request visualizing NPC behavior and getting clear one-time debug feedback is crucial for development. And then it just printed it out again, and then it's in the same way. Like, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. All right. I'm just getting spoiled. And then, like, stop putting those 15 lines of my 400 something line code separate. Ugh. So annoying. All right, let's turn on night mode. I see no pathfinding lines. You did not successfully create my pathfinding lines. Okay, day mode, night mode. So 2 of them are getting stuck. Yeah, it's looking like this problem's not going to get resolved right away. And a lot of times I just need to kind of sit and think on it for a bit. And when I have a nice fresh brain, hey, look, they look kind of good sitting on laying on the beds. A little out of position, but they're it's like they're sitting there. Oh, he's laying sideways across his pillow. All right. They're kind of resting their head on the headboard. I have a feeling that they're just on their laptops. They're sitting in the bed, not laying in the bed. It's fun teasing the decisions of how things fall when you're doing this. I mean, I'm like 90% happy right now. I mean, this is definitely progress for sure. I need to definitely appreciate the things that have worked. And I love it how when the NPCs end up in the bed, they turn into like the little character sprite that I have. Such an interesting decision for the AI to make. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. I'll try not to, in case, like, for some reason someone does want to see the outcome of this or the process of this, I'll try to do this on the next stream. And hopefully it won't be too tedious and boring of a process. I can try to keep this kind of episodic if I possibly can. And it's just a good archive for me personally as well. And while I'm sleeping on it, maybe I'll come up with a solution that one prompt, all of a sudden, I'm able to solve it. So that's my hope. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I think I'm going to call this the end of this stream. And AZ, as always, I appreciate your attention and your help. And anybody who watches this video, check out AZ Anything. He's got a completely different type of project that he's working on. So it's a wonderful opportunity to see 2 different people approach a similar workflow for 2 different types of projects. And his being a chatbot not chatbot. It's not what I should call it. Just a messaging app for him and between him and his clients for helping him out with his business and you set it up at the top. What did you say you do? Oh, I don't have, where'd it go? You were explaining to me TypeScript. He's a TypeScript developer, and his niche is assisting vibe coders to improve their code base and workflow, which I think is the way to go these days. A lot of people, I think, are either not embracing vibe coding or are just really scared to let the AI kind of take the wheel. So definitely go check out AZ Anything stream because his workflow is different than mine, and I think we just have like two different approaches to this. And some people might like my approach, and some people might like AZ for Anything's approach. So check both of us out. All right. Good night. Again, yeah, no problem, AZ. Always happy to help fellow vibe coder and give a shout out just like you do for me. So I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next stream, and let's keep learning how this whole vibe coding thing is going to work. All right. See you guys later.